When I did my X-Men reviews, I reviewed all the X-Men movies, all of them. But there was a movie that I missed. If you noticed it, probably because I think I filmed a review during that year the movie came out, finally came out. And that movie is The New Mutants. And on this episode of Movie Breakdowns, we're going to talk about it. But before I break it down, if there's a movie you want me to review, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best as I can. Also Patreon.com/AliZakka for $2 a month. You get your review cut in front of everybody else. I get to it immediately because you're paying for my services. And I put it out there on Patreon before it gets out to YouTube and Facebook. Now let's go and get to today's episode of The New Mutants from 2020. That was supposed to come out in 2019. That was supposed to come out in 2018 after X-Men Apocalypse. But before I hop into what happened there, let's go ahead and get into what the movie is about. The movie is about a group of 5 mutants that are held captive at a hospital, and they need to learn how to use their powers and morph into their powers and use them to adapt to pretty much benefit others. But at the same time, their past comes back to haunt them. And that is the gist of The New Mutants. And this movie is supposed to be a horror movie. It's trying to be, in a sense, a horror movie. You watch the trailers look like an actual horror movie with mutants. The problem is the movie and the studios kind of temper with it where they didn't think the horror aspect really going to work. So they're going to do a bunch of rewrites on it to make it less horror-like, but the rewrites wasn't ever added to the movie. So what you got is the movie that was supposed to be presented and that the director and writers wanted. And to add to that, during the time of this movie's making, Marvel Studios, Disney I should say, finally got hold of the movie rights for the X-Men and all I think 20th Century Fox had. So at the time of this movie, the Marvel movie rights were getting purchased by Disney, so they didn't release it partially through that. But this movie got pushed back because of Deadpool 1 or Deadpool 2 2019, and then it got pushed back again in 2018 was Deadpool that got pushed back. And then 2019 got pushed back thanks to X-Men Dark Phoenix. And it got released in theaters in 2020 because of the pandemic. But Disney made a promise to 20th Century that they will release it in theaters. So when the pandemic started to ease up a little bit, the movie got released in theaters. Around the time Black Widow got released in theaters. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie. A lot happened that the movie didn't get the best viewing audience. And when I finally got the chance to watch this movie, it was fine. It was okay. It wasn't the worst superhero movie. It wasn't the best superhero movie. It was okay. It is fine. It is pretty much a solid, I want to give it away right now, but I'm not. But it's an average movie. It is a very average movie. And you know what? Nothing wrong with that. This movie is not like your other superhero movies. You don't have a giant action. Take that back. You do. For the most part, though, you don't have these action pieces throughout the movie. You're in one spot. You're in with these teenagers in this hospital, and you're watching them interact with each other, and it's kind of like horror vibe because something's attacking them. So you're like, what is happening to them? And you're watching this horror aspect play out, or trying to play out, but it gets broken up a lot of times by levity or something else that doesn't really affect it. Or then you have completely cut scenes from Logan is tossed into this. I think at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, the after credit scene was a briefcase with Essex on it, which is Mr. Sinister. And this movie also adds in Mr. Sinister. I'm thinking that, oh, we're about to get Mr. Sinister in this movie. Here we go. Let's ride. No, we don't ever get to see Mr. Sinister, but this is his corporation working on these mutants. And what has happened is that these mutants have got put here because they all killed somebody one way or one way or somehow they've killed somebody that's close to them, or they're trying to defend themselves, so they got put into this place. And for some reason, Charles Xavier never got the chance to reach out to her and intercept them before, Nathaniel Essex did, but it is what it is. So they're getting put into this hospital and they're held down by this force field thanks to the doctor that's the only person there who's running the hospital. And she's doing tests on them and stuff like that to figure out if they're good enough to be used for Essex at one point. And then you get to a scene where Essex is like, destroy the main character, get rid of her. So that changed the whole dynamic from this horror movie to a superhero action flick at the end that involves an imaginary bear. And that bear is a giant 3D bear that completely breaks it for me. Like, the third act of this movie was so over the top that I was like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. It really didn't work for me. I was like, oh man, it's bad. And then you have a magic fight between a bear and a magic girl whose power is not really explained, but you know that she has magic. Speaking of which, Magic is the character I'm talking about, and Magic is the sister of Colossus, so I thought we were going to get a Colossus cameo in this. We don't get one at all, sadly. We didn't get an actual credit scene either. But you get Magic in this, who's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and she's a jerk for no reason, really, whatsoever. There's no reason for her to be mean to people, but she's mean to the girls. Like, the guys make sense why she'd be mean to guys, but she's mean to the girls in this. And she brings the sword out multiple times. Like, she brings out her powers multiple times in the movie. And then they do it again in, like, this epic moment. And I'm like, but she already know how to use her powers, and she's been using it constantly. So why are we doing this moment like this is the big transformation moment that she's been transforming this whole time in the movie? Some of the directing in this movie doesn't work. There's a scene where Macy Williams is in a confession box with the main character, and she is screaming, but the camera is in it with her and it's moving around, and you just see her screaming and shaking her head, and it's a very funny scene for a very scary moment, and I'm sorry, I found that funny. It just, the way the directing was, it wasn't a good look. So let's get into things that I did like. The characters. I did like the characters. Like, I keep forgetting the main character name, which is Danny Moonstar, who's played by Blue Hunt. Like, I like the dynamic. I like the relationship between Danny and Ronnie. Danny and Ronnie, who is Wolfbang, which I actually had to look at the characters because the movie didn't let me know who they were, and it told me what their powers were. So I ended up looking up the characters, and the twist that happens in the movie with Danny actually took me by surprise, because from what I was reading, that her powers like more like, she can make weapons, or the pictures show her making weapons with a psychotic kind of mind thing, so she can make weapons and like different stuff. I didn't know she could actually project things. Her name is Mirage in the comic books, and I didn't know that she could project different things, but she's the reason why they're going through all this turmoil. But I love the relationship dynamic between Danny and Rainey and Sam and Iana and Roberto. Like, I love the characters and their reactions and how they handle each other and play off each other. I did like that. I did like that dynamic. I thought the characters were great in this movie. And it's cool seeing some of the power sets in this movie. The music is fine. I did like the music in this movie. That's about it. The dislikes, the CGI is not good in this movie. I heard the movie's a low budget, but the CGI definitely wasn't that good. Using old footage from Logan and then not making sense, like how this is chronologically connected to Logan, didn't really make sense. And the switch between trying to go to a horror movie and trying to be a non-horror movie, like that, if the movie would have just focused on being a horror movie and played it all the way through, that would have been fine. Matter of fact, having another character that wasn't Mirage being the villain, that would have been perfectly fine too. Mirage not even the villain, she was one of the antagonists. The main villain is Dr. Reyes, and she went from like, you know, monitoring children, just keeping them in place, to like, oh, I'm gonna kill y'all now. Like, she was a very manic villain at the end, and it gets eaten up by a giant bear out of nowhere, which was very comical to watch. It's, yeah. And then the final fight was like, okay, this is off par. So it wanted to be like a superhero movie, but then like a normal movie and a horror movie at the same time. And it just, as a horror movie, it didn't hit. It tried, it didn't hit. But the movie's not bad though. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's average, and that's okay. It is okay. I think most people will watch this movie, might be a little, bored at certain points, but I think you'll be okay. I think you will be okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the cast and directors. So we had The New Mutants. It came out in 2020. It is PG-13, an hour and 34 minutes long, which that's fine. It's an action horror mystery movie. So considered the box office. It came out in 2020. It's not even fair to bring up the box office on this movie, but I'm going to look at it just to see. So the budget of the movie was $67 million. And it grossed worldwide $49 million. It's not fair. It came out during the pandemic. I don't think the look at the budget was okay with that. I look at the box office, but the budget was $67 million. Like, I guess it's considered a low budget movie for a superhero movie. They only had 5 characters. The director and writers, director was Josh Boone. The writer was Josh Boone, and Nate Lee, who also worked on, was a writer. The cast, you had Macy Williams, who played Rainey Sinclair, who was Wolfbane. So one thing about this cast, they all had different accents. And there's certain points where the accents did not stick. There's one point where I felt like Macy went straight into Arya from Game of Thrones, and she sounded like her at the end of the movie, and I was like, wait a minute. That's Arya. Where her voice come from? So that happens. Anna Taylor-Joy, who played Ilya, who is Magic, she loses her accent at certain points, but she was fine. Like, I think the acting is great. Just the accents the character was forced to put on, their actors were forced to put on, kind of broke here and there because there's some tough accents. Not gonna lie, like they had to, and it's not the natural accents too. So. But I think as acting goes, besides the accents breaks, was fine. I think the acting was great across the board. I bought into it. It was just like, for example, Charlie Heaton, who played Sam, when he broke into the southern country accent, I was like, sir, wait a minute, pause. That was not like the last thing we just had. Blue Hunt, who played Danny Moonstar, she did great. Thought she was fine. And yes, let me go back and break down those characters too, by the way. So Anya Taylor-Joy, who played Magic, she has also a dragon that at first was a puppet, and she would talk to the puppet, and the puppet would move the mouse in front of the people's face and stuff like that, which her and Danny got bonded when Danny returned her puppet back to her after Magic attacked Danny. But the end of the movie, the puppet turns to actual dragon, and then Magic and the dragon fought the giant imaginary bear. And I was like, so we have this giant boss fight. Okay, cool. But Anna, who played Ilya, her character is fine. Like, she was the dick. She was the mean girl who was mad at everybody and bullied kind of everybody, but comes across and becomes friends with everybody at the end of the movie. Oh, by the way, Rain, played by Macy Williams, she was the shy girl, the wolf girl who falls in love with Danny, and Danny and Rainey have a relationship in the movie. Charlie Heaton, who plays Sam, who is Cannonball, who's trying to control his powers, but also get over the death of his father. He killed his father in a coal accident, a mining accident, and he's trying to get over the death for that and trying to work through that, which is very tough. Macy killed her pastor who tried to ban her with a wolf bane because he considered her like a demon. And a character talked about getting touched by 18 men. I believe 18 was the number. And they called her, so he called them the smiley men. They hurt her when she was younger, and they always smiling when she was always crying. And she ended up killing all 18 men. But then, like, you see the 18 men who are the smiling faces in the movie, and they fight them in the movie, and she ended up getting over that again. But it was like talking about like abuse, touch on it a lot in this movie. They didn't ever go into the horror of that. Like, it just grazed it, and she goes into her place to get away from it, which is actual a magical zone that she will teleport into. So like every time they would come around, she would just teleport away and sit there until they leave. But like each one had their own horror stories. Like Roberto da Costa, who is played by Henrik Zakka, who is Sunspot, which I actually love the design of Sunspot, and it's cool to get to see him in this movie. But he burned his girlfriend when they were trying to get intimate. He got super hot and ended up burning her. He didn't know how to control his powers. And he also has a crush on Ilya, and he was trying to do the same thing, but Ilya's like, I can take it, and ended up not being Ilya, ended up being Danny's Mirage powers, who Danny played by Blue Hunt, who was Mirage. I thought Danny did a good job, or Blue Hunt did a good job, but who played Mirage was using her powers, not knowing anytime she was in danger, or I think in danger, or not yet, in danger, or wasn't feeling safe. Her powers would come out, her fear would come out, and it would end up taking the form of the others' fears and nightmares, and end up attacking them. In the beginning of the movie, she summoned this giant bear that ended up killing her family that got her put in there. And at the end of the movie, that bear comes back and saves her, but then she ended up controlling the bear by just like saying, hey, no more. I'm in charge now. I'm the captain now. And then last but not least, you have Elise Barga, who played Dr. Reyes, who I can't think of her name in the comic books, but she has a force field, and she can create people in fields and do force fields and stuff like that. And she's controlling the whole thing, and eventually the kids end up killing her and then stopping the bear to get it free. And that's pretty much the gist of it. That's it. That's it. Any other thoughts? Nah, not really. It's the last of the 20th Century Fox movies for the X-Men series for the MCU takes over. So that's it to that. Like, that was the ending of the series. It's an okay movie. It's average. It's fine. It's fine. I walked away like, oh, okay. They didn't know where to go full into horror or full into action. They just it tried to pull from a bunch of things, but didn't pull from anything. And this movie, it suffered a little bit because of the indecisiveness where it wanted to go and some of the studio stuff, and then getting pushed back. I don't know if the CGI would have been better in 2018 when the movie was supposed to be released, but the continuity definitely would have made more sense because of the X-Men Apocalypse movie. The end of it was Essex appearing, and I was like, oh, better get Mr. Sinister. I'm excited for this. And then we didn't get it, and I was like, wait, where'd it go? Well, it went to this movie. This movie was supposed to be that, and it was a tailspin to other stuff. And Mr. Sinister is one, like, a big villain in the X-Men, history, and I wanted to see him on the big screen, but we haven't got him yet. So I don't know if we're gonna ever get him. I don't know if the if the MCU gonna take over and do something with him. Maybe he's gonna be the villain in that, 'cause we already did Magneto. We don't need any more Magneto, and they could do Apocalypse better. I don't know if they're gonna reboot the X-Men series. We don't know. We don't know at all, but it is what it is. All right. Is this a Friday night movie? No, it's not a Friday night movie. I don't know if this will be it's not gonna be a horror night movie. Somebody who said they're not big into horror. they can watch this. There's some aspects of it where they're trying. Doctor Strange 2 is a better horror movie than this, but they're trying. They're trying. It's not Friday movie though. In grade time, I'm gonna grade the New Mutants for 2020 a C-. This movie gets a C- for me. It's average. It's not the best. It's not the worst either. It's definitely a C- movie. 70%. Let's see here. IMDb gave this movie a 5.3 out of 10%. That's an F. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 35% from the critics. That is a F as well. But let's see what the audience give it. Audience give it 56%. That's an F. And Metacritic gives it 43%. So I give this movie a lot higher rating than everybody else, but I just feel like it's a C-, 70%. It's an average movie. But my grades is A through Fs, plus and minus do matter. So it's not a D movie. Like it's not on that level yet. And I haven't given F out in over a year, like over 2 years probably at this point. So it's definitely a C-, 70%. If you've seen New Mutants or The New Mutants, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below on that. See you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns. And keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all and keep being awesome.